Hello again. In the previous section, in chapter 2, basically what we have started to do is to reorganize the structure of our application. Basically, we move the content from one file to different files, the Home.html file and the methodology.html file. What we are going to do now is to go one step further in that kind of reorganizing the application and increasing the efficiency of our application and the organization by using templates. Okay, how this work? Basically now, if you go to the Home.html file and the methodology HTML file, we have the same code that appear again and again. It's HTML, head, title, body, and all these things. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to repeat code all the time because that is very inefficient. The way in which we can kind of simplify this code and to avoid mistakes is very simple. It's basically what we are going to do is go to the template folder and we are going to create a new file that is called Layout.html. And here basically in the Layout.html we are going to create the kind of the boilerplate. Is with exclamation mark intro, and here we are going to erase this information, and this information. And basically what we are going to do here is to create a basic HTML file that is going to be inherited by the Home and the methodology, and that will simplify and make the code more efficient. The first thing that we are going to do in this layout file is in the head we are going to introduce a title, and basically to do that we are going to use Jinja again, and basically what we have to do is to write if title. This means basically that if we provide here there is a mistake, I don't know why this is erasing this. Okay, if we basically provide a title from our roots to the templates, basically what we are going to do is to disclose this title. And basically, as you know from the previous video, here basically we render this information by providing these brackets. If we don't provide a title, basically we have to introduce here an else clause. Then basically what we have to do is to introduce the title that is going to be home, and this is going to, we have to place it there, and I don't know why Visual Studio is not happy with the brackets, but we have to place the brackets. Yeah, no, this is, we have to place the brackets, otherwise it's going to be a mistake in the code. And basically now what we have to do is to close the if statement, basically by introducing end if. This is basically very useful because basically what we are doing in this HTML file is that we are introducing some logical statement, and this is, to do that we need to use Jinja too, and this is basically the kind of the mechanism in which Flask can introduce logical code into our Flask application, and we are going to use this in other places in the project. The next thing that we are going to do is in the body, basically what we are going to do is basically to disclose some information, and to do that again in Flask we are going to use Jinja, and here basically what we are going to do is to type block content, and here we conclude this. We have to close this statement with end block. This is something very useful because basically what we are going to do is now in the other files, in the Home and the methodology, what we are going to do is to basically extend this information, and then therefore we are not going to need to type head and HTML all the time. If we go now to the home, basically we can erase everything. We can erase that information, and then we can erase also this information here. Basically we can erase everything, but the things that is the kind of in the content of our web page. The first thing that we have to do is basically we need to extend the Layout.html, and basically it's very simple, it's extends, and we have to type here Layout.html, and we have to close this. And basically here what we have to do is to introduce the blog content. Basically here we have to introduce again blog content, and at the end of this basically what we have to do is to close that statement. At the end of the HTML file what we have to do is to type basically end blog content, and basically we save this information, and now we have to do exactly the same. I'm going to copy this, we go to the methodology web page, and basically we have to do exactly the same. We erase everything. Here we extend the layout, we start the content, and we have to copy this and go to the methodology web page, and here we have to close that web page. Here we save this information, and now again we go to the terminal, new terminal, and then we activate the virtual environment, and here if we type again Python application.py, we run the application, we open the local server in our browser, and here we have the home page, and if we go to the link we will have methodology. This means basically that all the code that we have written is correct, and basically this is what we have done. And basically to summarize, basically what we have done in this chapter is that basically we have used templates because a lot of information is appearing again and again and again, and it's very nice that we simplify this and we make the code more efficient. And also the advantage of doing this layout, for example, is if we want to introduce a menu bar and we introduce it in the layout, this will appear in all the web pages that we have in the home page, also in the methodology web page, in the app calculator web page, and this is very useful because if by introducing only some lines of code is going to be inherited by all the other web pages, and that is super good, because also if we want to introduce one change, we have to introduce one change only once and not 3, 4, 5 or 10 times, and this also minimizes the risk of making mistakes. Okay, then this concludes this chapter. In the weekly challenge, what you are going to do is basically to create a navigation bar in which basically we are going to be able to access to all the web pages that we have created: the home page, the methodology page, and the app calculator page.